I get this question a lot when people come in for consultations. I know what to eat. I know from experience and from education what foods support my well being, but then I end up not eating in that way. Why is that? And what I want to tell people, and I say this every day, is there's nothing wrong with you. What you know from experience and from what you've read is very likely true, but what you're not taking into consideration is the state of your system. That your nervous system will be in different states based on whether the environment, what's happening around you, and what's happening inside of you have driven you into more of your survival physiology, or what's happening inside and outside of you is supporting what we call a rest and digest state. So think of yourself as this miraculously malleable, complex being, which you are, that responds to internal and external circumstances with a physiological response. If something is asking for your attention and you need to go quickly, your heart rate will accelerate, your blood pressure will rise. If your attention is not needed anywhere, and if you can pause and you can recover from the time that you just spent attending to something, your system will drop into a rest and digest state where it's able to actually recover. The rest and digest state, which is a low tone dorsal state that is mediated by the cranial nerves, will actually allow you to take in food and to be able to enjoy it, and then to move from enjoying your food to digesting it. However, if you are in a survival state, if your physiology is one that more supports survival, especially if stress is high and you're more in a fight, flight, fix response, or you're more shut down in a high tone dorsal response, what's going to happen is those states, those survival states, they don't support the ingestion and assimilation of nutrients. They're supporting other things. They're supporting other priorities in that moment. And so if you have your food over here, that's a constant, but your body's not a constant, then it makes sense that sometimes you're able to have these very satisfying and what people describe as normal meals, and sometimes your body's needing something else. And so when you're in a survival state, you cannot eat the same way, you cannot digest the same way, you cannot assimilate your food the same way. And that's why it's so important, as one of the first steps on your path to peace with food, to start to understand, and that's in my book, to start to understand what state are you in when you're eating. And to know that for some of us, survival states are not just something we go in and out of when we're under stress. There might be a way that we are being most of the time because of our history. And so then it becomes more and more clear why for some people knowing what is supportive and what would support good nourishment isn't always enough. Because if you're in survival physiology, your body's going to actually need other, think of them as nutrients, other things to come in, things like connection, positive communication, soothing, calming, having some sort of a physical resource to shift from a survival state to a rest and digest state before you can eat. That you might not be able to take that same food, combine that with a survival state, and have the same experience that you have when you're in a rest and digest state. So for many people, it's not that you don't know what to eat or what's nourishing. It's not that you don't have the experience that this or that food supports you. It's that you haven't yet learned how to recognize the state of your physiology and what your physiology needs. And when we use food to manage the survival physiology, that's when we also get in emotional eating, we get into binging, we get into compulsions and excessive eating, that it's actually very hard to eat what people call normally, because we're eating in a way to support a survival state and not eating with the rest and digest state, which is the normal physiological state that eating happens in. And another state that's very similar to this is sleeping. It's really hard to sleep when you're anxious. You can sleep in the rest and digest state. And so I'm hoping that knowing this information helps you feel less confused or less alone, because it's just like this for human beings. And little by little, you can start to learn and befriend your physiology and know what you need moment to moment, so that you're not offering yourself food as the only thing that can support you. There's many, many other things that can support you. I'm sending you care. If you're interested, this Sunday is my How to Find Peace with Food workshop, which is an introduction to this work and how we support the physiology towards a state that is more conducive to eating, and eating in a way that is satisfying, nourishing, and sustainable. So if you want to join us, you're welcome to. The link is in my bio. And also, if you've registered for this workshop before, you're always welcome to come again for free. If you own my book, you can come for free. Just reach out in a DM and ask me for the coupon code. I'll be very happy to see you there.